It's gorgeous out. Let's pop some ducks.
This is the Upduck Podcast, a blend of upland and waterfowl hunting. Tune in as your hosts, Tyler Beaton, Jeff Ludicky, Matt Jeske, chat about training dogs and share their bird hunting stories, tactics, and strategies.
Yeah, where the recording button is. He's looking at how to change his name and settings.
I'll figure it out one day. We'll figure out how to change
One day. Have you switched your license plate yet? Have you switched your license plates on your truck yet?
No, I haven't. So switched my license plates on my truck.
Okay, so there's no chance you're changing your name from Eric Clark to OKS Hunter.
If you keep reminding me about the license plates, I will change it.
I told you one of these days I'm just going to come over with a screwdriver and switch them.
Okay. All right. Here's the deal. We're gonna make a deal, okay? Because this is what we do with our children. We make lots of deals. Okay. Tomorrow, you text me as the reminder to switch your license plate. I'll do it tomorrow.
You're going to do it?
I'll do it tomorrow. Yep.
You know where your screwdriver is?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. All right.
I actually do. That's why I'm committing to this, because I actually know where it is.
You saw it today.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't been pulled over yet.
It's fine. I go past cops all the time.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Matt, what's happened tonight, bud?
Not much. Just got back from our HRC meeting like 40 minutes ago. So, yeah.
You're not gonna. Is that a war chief hoodie?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
It's a vacation sweatshirt from Hawaii. Or nope, Australia.
It looked like the war chief, the boss war chief logo for a second there.
No. Close.
Well, not as fun.
No.
Australia is fun though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, arguably, actually, just as fun.
Yes.
In different ways.
So. Yes.
I wouldn't. I couldn't sit on a plane for that long.
Well, a lot of movies.
How long is that flight?
Like 18 hours.
Oh God.
It's long enough where you are at risk of blood clots.
Yeah, you definitely have to move. So definitely don't sleep the whole time.
Yeah, my back kills me after a 4-hour flight.
Oh yeah, no, you wouldn't make it.
No, it'd be horrible.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Jeff,
you'd
have you seen
like business class or something?
Yeah, I need one of those with the sleepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jeff, have you seen Crocodile Dundee? Or how about better yet, The Lord of the Rings, since New Zealand is right there, and that's the place I actually want to visit.
I've never seen a single movie. Lord of the Rings, never seen one.
Pat,
Unbelievable.
Thoughts? I know. Seriously, I don't
Lord
even
of
know
the
this
Rings, Harry Potter. I've never watched a full Star Wars either.
Wow.
guy.
You
know what?
Should I just hang up?
The things that were
jump off the podcast real quick.
Okay, this is like episode 81, and the things I've learned in the last month about the two of you guys are astounding here.
Yeah, I
Really?
thought it was
You
just
weren't.
Jeff didn't read. I didn't know he wouldn't watch a movie. I thought at least he would be like, there's a movie that the whole world has watched. Maybe I'll
You can't even
give it a
read.
try.
No, we weren't big movie people. Like our family didn't watch a whole lot of movies, My dad just watched Seinfeld every night, basically. So we didn't watch a whole lot of movies.
Okay.
No, I can't see again. We talked about this. I can't sit still for that long. Same thing with a plane. I got too much shit to do to sit through a 2-hour movie.
Ooh,
I know. Yeah.
a short one of those.
That's
Yeah, right.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
9 of those, and you might make it.
It's a It's a commitment to sit down for a movie.
Sitting down for a movie sounds amazing, right? I mean,
I suppose nowadays.
Yeah, if someone's gonna let me sit down for 2 hours undisturbed and watch a movie, sign me up, okay? All right, I'm there. I'm there.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, hey Nate, I'm not gonna do a formal introduction right now. I'm just gonna ask you, have you seen the Lord of the Rings movies?
Negative.
Okay.
Oh, you're my man.
I'm on the same page as Jeff. I haven't seen any of those, not gonna lie.
Okay. All right.
So I can find
Okay.
out.
All right. Yep. All right. Okay.
We're too busy hunting and fishing.
All right. Anyway, folks, our guest tonight is Nate Gainey. He runs the page Upland Inc on Instagram, and then does. We're gonna find out exactly what he does. It's been a number of years since I've chatted with Nate, so I'm looking forward to the conversation. And We're going to talk upland hunting, which we need to talk more about anyway on this podcast. Talk about pointing lab. We'll talk about, I don't know, hunting wild bird. Who knows where it's going to go? Figure it out. So, Nate, welcome to the Upduck podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So why don't you just first start off by telling everybody where you're located, just some background about yourself, what you do, how many dogs you own, anything like that.
Sounds good. Currently, I'm south of Minneapolis, St. Paul, about 40 miles, and do a lot of my hunting and guiding in South Dakota and western South Dakota. Work for a lodge out West River, South Dakota, and then a lot of personal hunting, honestly, kind of throughout the whole Midwest, Dakotas, Nebraska, not Iowa, and obviously some in Minnesota. But I'm just kidding on the Iowa though too, and not Wisconsin, I guess I should say. So yeah, just kind of go personal hunt wherever a guy goes, and guiding mostly West River, South Dakota. Yeah, so it's a good time, fun time.
I didn't know you were guiding out there. Maybe I just don't remember that. How long have you been doing that?
Oh shit. I don't know, 12. I don't know. Quite a few years.
Definitely when you talked to him last.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah.
3-4 years ago, you were definitely doing it. I don't know why I don't remember it.
We might not chat about it. No worries. Yeah, don't worry about it.
What a shitty host he was back then. Huh?
Oh my god.
Probably busy watching Lord of the Rings.
Probably. And it comes full circle, everybody.
Yes, it does. Nice. Very nice. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was great.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
The guiding is just expensive hobby. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. You can meet a lot of people from all over the U.S. But at the end of the day, you'd rather be personal hunting, at least for me. But it's still hard to give up the guiding just to personal hunt though too, because it is fun. It's an expensive hobby. It's as everything is nowadays, but it's pretty fun guiding too. You meet some cool people, some fun clients, stay in contact with, and it's pretty fun.
How did you get started guiding? Like how did you walk into that life?
I should know how long ago it was. Probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe 10. I don't know. I guess it'd probably be about 14 years ago. Yeah. So long story short, guy was doing it down south, southern South Dakota, and a good buddy of ours, family friend, asked me to come with, and I did a couple groups here and there, got in at his lodge, and then that lodge isn't quite as big as the lodge that I'm working at now. And somebody's buddy knew that I was running dogs at this other place and called me up and said, "Hey, come work for us." I met with them at with them at a Pheasants Forever or Pheasant Fest. Sorry, met the owner, met the head guide, and they said, "Yeah, come on out next year." And I've been doing it since.
Now, are you guys? I mean, obviously, you're probably primarily guiding for pheasants. Are you guys doing any other upland birds or waterfowl or anything like that?
Not waterfowl. We have pheasants, Hungarian partridge, and sharptails. So we have those three on the ranch, and that's what we chase. A lot of sharptails. I mean, to be honest, there's at times just as many sharptails as pheasants on the properties. But it's West River, South Dakota. It's big property, big family farm, top notch.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it one big ranch, or are they leasing out, or a little bit of everything?
Yeah, good question. It's a little bit of everything, but in general, they own it all. Huge family. Just to give you a number, roughly 300,000 acres they own West River that we got access to, and I mean it's spread out I'm not talking just all right next to each other. It might be 50 miles one way we go one day, and you might go 50 miles west the next day. It's all over the place. So it's fun. It's addicting.
What is the name of the outfit?
Firesteel Creek Lodge in Isabel.
Fire Seal Creek Lodge.
Firesteel Creek Lodge
Okay.
in Isabel.
Write that down.
I believe there's 2 of them in South Dakota. Make sure you click on the Isabel one.
Isabel.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never hunted out in South Dakota. I've gotten close. I've done southwestern Minnesota and northwestern Iowa, but I've never crossed over into South Dakota. But one of these days I should probably make a venture out that way.
Yeah, I mean, not to get politics and stuff, they get you for the license. You know, it all works out, but there's a lot of good hunting out there. There's a lot of pressure early on in the year, but if you can hunt late season, this year, the last 2 years with no snow has been a little different, but you can hunt all the way through the end of January.
Nice.
So
now I think it's kind of common knowledge that there is some stocking that occurs in South Dakota, but at your particular outfitter, are you guys stocking it all, or is it primarily all wild birds?
I'd say wild birds. So a lot of that, what you're going to call stocking, I believe is on that like I-90 corridor, kind of on the
Okay.
south, like I'm going to say like the Chamberlain Pier area, that whole part of the state, is if you're going to draw a map in South Dakota, that corridor is where a lot of the small game farm lodge type stuff releases birds. I've never personally seen a semi truck drop off birds. I've heard people like, oh, that, you know, around, let's just say Aberdeen, major city in South Dakota. Are they putting birds out throughout the whole area? I don't believe it. People say that it's happening. I don't know. I've never seen it happen. You can't tell me the state's just picking tens of thousands of dollars of birds out in areas just to drop people into certain areas, in my opinion.
Yeah. Maybe not so much on public, but some of those small game farms, those small operations is probably where the majority of that occurs, like you said.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I hunt one chunk next to a small game farm, or whatever you want to call it, and we'll shoot birds on that property just because they're coming off of the game farm's property. They're getting off of there. I know this, it's a pasture ground. It's a grouse pasture. You can shoot grouse in it all day long. You're going to shoot maybe a couple pheasants a year. There's way more pheasants in this pasture than there should be, and they're coming from the game farm to the north. It's just a known fact. So cases like that, yes. But as far as the state doing it in the whole state of South Dakota, stuff like that, I don't think that's happening. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you've been guiding for a long time, right? Do you always run only your own dogs?
Yeah, I'll steal a dog, like I'll co-own some, and I'll say, hey, are you using it this week or not? And I'll take it with. But no, I'm not just stealing Joe Blow's dog to take it with me. I got to trust in my own dogs. You can't have clients out there that are paying big bucks for me to be yelling at buddy Joe Blow's dog for messing something up. It's got to be on my own, something that I know I can hunt behind myself.
How many dogs do you have in your crew? Like, how many dogs do you own and are at your house right now?
Right now I'm down. I'm only at 3 right now. I put 2 down in December, and to be honest, at my house right now, how we're set up with the kids and my truck traveling and stuff, I think I'm going to stick around that 3 number, just to make it a little easier for us at our house. I used to always pull the dog trailer places, and not going to say any state names, but a place called something Dells. I can't remember what it would be. I haven't had too good luck going in that area with a dog trailer.
What happened here? What do you mean you haven't had good luck?
Oh man, just people say you're abusing the dog, stuff like that.
Oh,
Mm.
sure.
Keeping them in the dog trailer, which I understand, but none of our, I mean, it's just my truck is a little set up, a little more low profile than pulling a dog trailer through town and spending a long weekend in Wisconsin Dells. So it's 3 dogs right now for the next year. I think will be good for us at our house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many dogs do you co-own?
Oh, at least double that. Probably 10, 9, 10. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not all have worked out. Some have, some haven't. Some you just got to cut your ties with. It is what it is. It's a expensive hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, are you training all your own dogs?
My personal ones that I have, yeah. There's one guy that I did some trading with down south of me for stud fees. He wanted to breed to one of my males, so I said, yeah, that's fine. Take him while I'm in Canada and do some blind work, some blind retrieve work with them, and just that, and we'll trade off stud fees with them. But besides that, I train on my own. Yep.
And where did you start training? Did you have a mentor or like somebody that you kind of got in tune with early on?
Yep. Yeah. Lady, not too far from us. Been in the business for 40 years, and she just basically walked me through it, either on the phone, in person. Just a good family friend. Yep. She ran some high level dogs and still does a lot of the lab breeding, and not so much training anymore. Just more breeding she's kind of faded into, but back in the day she was doing a lot of training. Yeah. Yep.
Lab world is so small. I bet if you said the name either Matt or I would probably recognize it.
Yeah, you guys, everybody would in the lab world. Cashman Kennels. Cashman Kennels is their
Cashman
kennel.
Kennels? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they good family friend, grew up with them basically. They went to elementary school with my old man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've done the co-owning of dog things once, and I'll never do it again. So I give you kudos for that. I mean, your setup is a little bit different because you're doing a ton of guiding, and you need to have as many dogs as you can, right? Be able to pull dogs in, right? If dogs get injured or something like that. But
yeah, it never works out as easy as you think in your head, at least for me. Good impact.
So yeah, so some folks might not be familiar with that. So what does it mean to co-own a dog? Like, how are you setting it up? Is it like, are you training it and then someone else keeps it, or like how does it work?
Yeah, both. I don't want to necessarily if say you and I are going to co-own a dog and it's going to be at your house, but I paid for it all and I'll try to do some breedings with it. It's up to you. I could train it all up, but a lot of guys want to have the pride training it up themselves. So we might work on it together, that type of stuff, or throw ideas off of each other. And then for the money side, I always say, okay, if you're going to send it to a trainer, that's fine with me. We'll recoup that money off of breeding for you, and you'll be basically wiped even, and then take a puppy out of each litter. So you can try to make some money on it too. Not like, I mean, I hate to say it, you're not going to make a killing with a small guy breeding dogs. You got to be like what I'm going to call a puppy mill if you're going to be pumping out just tons of pups to truly make a killing, or maybe not even a killing, but a lot of money at that. And so if you can, how I like to say it is basically pay for your dog food and your training for the life of that dog. You're wiping even. You got a good hunting dog, and I don't try to steal them all the time while guiding, because you want to hunt with the dog too. And so if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, so be it. Yeah.
Now, are you primarily training them for hunting and guiding, or do you get into the hunt test game as well?
Yeah, before kids, I was doing the hunt test game a lot more. Just traveling and how it goes. I've been slacking the last couple of years on that, not gonna lie, but trained for the hunt test game, carried over to real life hunting. And I personally like hunting. I like a good hunting dog over a good test dog. There's a kind of a fine line. A lot of people argue both sides of it. I like a wild bird hunting dog over a test dog. But you got to have the tests to have standards and all that. So I can't knock any of that side of it either, because I love doing that. I just have been slacking the last couple of years. So it's been with just going to blame it on kids and not being able to get to all the tests that I want to. So I've been slacking.
Were you running APLA then primarily, or
and AKC? Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I haven't done any HRC stuff. A couple of people have tried to get me into it. I just was busy enough. Maybe jump into it next. I'd love to have a good. I'd love to go see that whole grand setup and all that. I'd love to see that. It won't be in the next year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Come to Wisconsin in May. We're about 2 months out.
Yeah.
Yep. The grand's gonna be in like an hour from Jeff and I.
Yeah. I mean, you always say you want to get a dog to that level and go watch it, go do it. I mean, you just got to do it, and it's a commitment. It's not just a month out. Go sign the dog up. You know, it's a grind to compete in it at least. And I don't like to half-ass it. I guess I'd rather go get it done and walk away proud than hanging your head right off the gate. But
yeah, so I want to go back to what you said though, right? Because I want to like dig into that a little bit more. You said you want a dog that is a good hunting dog and not like just a good test dog. Like what specific traits like separate the two? Like what is it you look for that you see in like a really good hunting dog that versus a dog that has run a whole bunch of tests and is maybe early in their actual hunting career?
Well, I'm just going to use APLA just because it was just brought up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to knock anybody on that stuff. This is just kind of how I see it on that. You can find a bird in a field, no problem. A bird that's running, a wild bird, is different than finding a planted bird in a field. I'd rather hunt behind a good wild bird dog. And when I say that, one that can track a bird, try to get outsmarted by a wild, let's just use a pheasant here for an example, than one that's put in a little 2-foot area. And if that dog hits that wind cone, boom, you should be able to find it. If that bird doubles around on a dog, goes in some trees, some cattails, some grass. I mean, a running pheasant can put on hundreds of yards in no time. And I'd like to see that dog keep up with that, then just get into that wind cone scent and then give up. So that's how for that. And then you could do the same thing for duck hunting. I mean, a dog knows, anyone in the test game knows can agree that those dogs coming up to the line know that it's a test. The atmosphere, whatever it is, those dogs can feel it when it comes up to the line. And same thing as wild bird hunting. If you're duck hunting, just sitting in the blind, just getting jacked up. I don't let any of my dogs break. Shooting a couple volleys into snow geese and still having that dog sitting in its kennel, not breaking or whining, is a whole different level compared to, throwing one mark and having 6 decoys out in front of it and running through those decoys. There's just all different levels to it. So I like to hunt behind any good wild bird dog, and I think it's fun.
That's fair. No, I think defining the difference there is key, right? For folks, right, who haven't run a lot of tests, or maybe are just getting into the test game, or folks who hunt and don't have it run tests too. Like what you're actually referring to. And that's, I think like it's like a dog's ability to track a running bird. It's a dog's ability to handle various situations, stay composed, to be able to think critically and figure things out.
Yeah.
Right?
And you might have the best test. You might have the best test dog and have a poor hunting dog. You might have the best hunting dog and have a poor test dog. It's all, and to have a combination of both. I mean, most people agree if you got a good test dog, you're going to have a good hunting dog, that type of stuff. But there is some differences, and it's a addicting, expensive hobby. I mean, you run test games, you can do that all year long and travel the whole country, and you don't even have to hunt a wild bird, and you'd be dissatisfied running those test games. Because if you like, I mean, you could almost compare it to like, say, gambling or something. I'm not a gambler, but it'd be addicting side where you just want to keep going to those tests and keep running and getting to the next level. And it's once you do it once, you won't want to quit unless you maybe start out poor right away at it. But if you're successful and doing good at it, it's a fun hobby.
Yeah, I've always kind of found it interesting. Like they call it a hunt test, right? But there's a lot of people that they run these tests, but they don't actually go out and hunt with their dogs because it's just a hobby for them to do these tests. So to call it a hunt test for them, you're not testing your dog or training your dog for hunting. You're training your dog to pass these tests and do well at these competitions.
Yep. And it's I had one guy, well, that dog I just put down 15 years ago, he flat out told me this was a fun test in the winter just to kill time in Minnesota, northern Minnesota. He said, what are you going to do with that dog? She's going to do good in hunt tests. And I said, I'm going to hunt her. I was just doing that test at that time for fun. And he said, don't hunt her, just run her in hunt tests. And that wasn't for me. She hunted every single day with me the last 15 years. But I also ran her in tests, but I wasn't going to give up hunting her just for the test game. But yeah, there's a lot of politics to it, but it's fun. I mean, you're exactly right. A hunt test is set up as close as you can for a hunting situation. It's just as close as you can get to it. I mean, every year they're switching things up. So
now, Tyler and Matt, you guys go to a lot of these. Do you see a lot of people that they're not necessarily hunters? It's just this is their hobby to train and run these tests, but they don't actually hunt with the dogs. Is that a common thing?
I mean, there's definitely handfuls of people that it is just their hobby, just a dog sport. Like they got a lab. Sometimes they do agility, in the winter when it's cold or whatever. And then
same thing as dock diving or agility. Yeah.
Some of these people do all three of them just because it's something they do with their pet, when they don't have other hobbies. I mean, nobody's.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Like it's expensive, so I get it.
Yeah. And it's great. It's better than a lot of these people that don't do anything with their dogs.
Right. Yeah.
So at least they get out and doing stuff. Yeah.
Well, they're showing their dog a whole bunch of situations, right? Being at a hunt test is going to show your dog a lot, and they're going to gain experience. Is it real hunting experience? No, but it's a lot closer than throwing the tennis ball in the backyard.
100%.
So there's a lot of carryover with that.
100%. And touch off that too. You can train by yourself and have wingers and setting your whole setup and think, okay, I'm good. Walk to the line and you're not even going to know what happened to that dog. Not always.
I was that person.
Oh, same.
Yeah. I mean, so you can't really, I mean, how do you describe that until it actually happens to you?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You're like, oh, my dog can handle this. And then your first hunt test you show up to with your first dog, and you walk up and you're trying to get your dog into the holding blind and they're jumping over it or crushing it. And you're like,
going under it.
Is this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who this dog is. They've never done this before.
Yeah.
My dog's never done this before.
That's my favorite line at all hunt tests that I work at.
Yes.
Doesn't matter the level, right? Like, my dog's never done that before. It's like, I actually believe you. It probably hasn't ever done what just happened.
And everyone probably has their own thing. Like, one I can specifically think on is a black female I own. When I put her into the holding blind, I would have a choke lead on her, or not a metal one, just a slip lead.
Yeah.
And I'd give her one good pull on the neck, and I'd have her sit, and I'd have her face me. I would never have her face me normally while sitting, unless I was casting her. But normally she'd be at heel. I'd have her sit and face me, and I'd slip that lead off, and I'd walk back out of that holding blind like 10 feet, and I'd stand there and let her sit there. And people would necessarily be around me, whatever, but she'd be sitting there knowing, and she was a steady dog. She was really steady. She would sit there and look at me, and when they called my number, I'd wait another, 10, 20 seconds, and I'd be back not in the crowd, but back off the holding blind a little ways, and I'd have her come all the way to heel to where I was at, and then we'd walk up. And for her, that was a trick for her, because she'd always want to be looking around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But if I distancing myself from her, she was keyed in. But until I figured that out, she was one of those dogs, like, she always wanted to look around the corner at the duck call or the shooting or people talking or whatever it was. So once you figure out those little things, it's all fun and games. That's what's addicting about it. You just want to keep going back and doing it.
You do, until your second dog you get as a dud, and then you're like, I'm gonna retire from this sport, and I got lucky. I'm done.
Now then you sell that dog and get a new one.
It does not work that way.
He tried.
Yeah.
Or give it away.
No. Yeah. No. She's a good dog. She's good. It's all me. It's all me. I'm learning that slowly, right? Just you get it. You talked about not having time with tests and kids and things. So between Matt, Jeff, and I, what do we have? 5 and under?
5 under 5. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 under 5. So like training dogs, running tests is really, really hard. It's really, really hard.
Plus 4 dogs.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. It takes a toll on you.
Yep. All right. I'm curious about this. I've had this on my mind. I've been trying to find the perfect time to ask it. This is not, so I'm just completely changing subjects. But how many birds per year are your dogs? How many birds per year are getting shot over your dog since you're guiding? So
yeah. You're probably going to laugh, but I'd pull up my notes and give you the exact numbers. I keep numbers for retrieve to hand on all of ours. And this year, personal hunting, and last year, personal hunting, the numbers were down a little bit. And then not going up into Canada made a big effect on us for waterfall for retrieves. Because we'd go up there and shoot piles of waterfall in a couple week span. And now that affected me the last 2 years too. Not getting across up there. So I'd say, oh man, I wish I had the numbers in front of me.
We could pause it. We could just. We're not going to pause it. We'll just, I
really wants to know.
I do want to know. Yeah.
No, I'd say for personal hunting, I think I was at like 300, just over 300 this year for personal hunting. And then for guiding, I didn't have any big numbers. I didn't have any big groups this year. So maybe double that for guiding. I think I had one big shoot one day. We teamed up with like a group of like 12 or something, and it was hot, so we were just cycling dogs all time. Or basically, you're running one field and putting that dog up and just rotating. So I got some big retrieves that day, but besides that, I'd probably put 700 to 800 upland birds through my vest a year. I'd say somewhere right in there. Be my guess without looking at the numbers exactly. But a lot of those are over half of them are guided where I'm not pulling the trigger on them. Yep.
They're still getting shot over your dogs though. Man.
Oh yeah, that's why.
Yep. Yeah, you just can't beat that kind of experience for your dogs.
100%, especially young puppies. Yeah, as long as you got a obedient dog. And some of the guys will knock one of my dogs. He's old. He's probably 9. He'll like to steal birds, and I hate that. So I'll light him up, but sometimes he beats me to it, and he gets that retrieve. But I shouldn't say get that retrieve. He gets that bird steal. But Yeah, he's a little hard headed. He's kind of like a short hair.
At least he didn't say Vizsla. Jeff's got a Vizsla.
The next one might be a short hair though. So
I think it's hard to fathom, right? Like you're putting that 700-800 birds through your upland vest every single year, and the amount of experience that your dogs get from that. Like there's a lot of dogs that will not pick up that many birds their entire life.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll be good hunting dogs, but just you make a bird dog with birds and your dogs are getting birds and experiences at a level that is just, it's different than what anybody average guy is ever going to be able to get to unless you start guiding.
Yeah. The guides that do big waterfall hunts, they'll do that no problem. I mean, they'll bring 1,000. Yeah. I'm only personal water up fall hunting. I'm just running one dog at a time. I might bring two not in the field. I might bring two on the trip with me. It depends who's riding with and stuff for kennel space. But realistically, I just bring one dog for waterfall hunting, and that dog gets all the retrieves for that trip. Or if I bring them all with, I'm only hunting one dog, I guess is what I'm saying, for waterfall hunting. But those guys pick up some big numbers though too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm mainly thinking about like the upland side is where my mind goes to, right? Where, right, you're right. Your dogs are getting so much experience hunting wild birds.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
that's the reason that's separating them from those test dogs. Like your dogs might do those tests, but they're figuring out wild birds way more than those people that aren't touching wild birds like that at all. It's just so different.
Yeah. And you got to just have again, I'm going to go back to the APLA. You gotta have the confidence with that dog, and if it's a young dog and that's all it's got, and the owner wants to put a CP title on it, great, that's fine. Yep. I always personal hunted my dogs before I ran them in the tests. They got to go in and find 3 birds in a field in 15 minutes. I just basically stood at the gate and let my dog hunt. I knew it knew how to hunt. I knew it knew how to point. I knew it could find birds. Let it do its thing, and I didn't want to overrun the bird because I was pushing my dog too hard. So I just literally, there's videos of me just standing, hanging out by the judges, letting my dog run 100 yards in front of me. And people are like, why aren't you keeping up with it? Well, let her do her thing. She knows what to do. So yeah, it's fun. Again, expensive hobby.
Yeah.
So Nate, you mentioned APLA and you mentioned that I heard the term pointing. And we've been talking about labs this whole time. And this is something I've been very curious about. We've had a lot of lab guys on this podcast, but I do not think we've talked about pointing labs before. So I'm very curious. What percentage of your dogs point? What percentage of them are just, your standard typical flushing labs?
I'd say I'm probably 50-50 right now. Some of them, I'd say all of them that point, they're competitive athletes, let's say. They might not point if there's a couple dogs on that same bird being competitive. If there's 2 of them, I can tell you which ones I have that will point basically 100% of the time. If they're by themselves, 100% of the time, unless that bird's running hardcore and they're tracking it. Once that bird holds tight, they're going to lock up and point. But I got a couple, like that dog that likes to steal birds from other dogs that are retrieving. He's aggressive. He's not aggressive like fighting wise. He's just he just gives you the finger and wants to hunt. He'll flash his point or not point just because he wants to get that retrieve. But in like a hunt test world, he knows the difference. He's going to point all day long. Or if he's hunting by himself, he's going to point all day long. But you put him all with a couple other client dogs or a couple buddies' dogs, he's going to want to beat that next dog to it.
Now, for a lot of like the lab purists, if you want to call them that, I think I read at one point that maybe some people frown upon pointing labs and that it's more or less a fault that needs to be corrected. How do you feel about that? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, how I describe it, and other people are going to describe it different. If you can teach a dog to sit, you can teach a dog to point. In my opinion.
Okay.
Not saying all the time, not saying every dog. I mean, everything's different. But in general, a lot of guys are just using the whoa command and teaching it just like any short hair, which is all good and fine. Same thing. I mean, it's different alleys, but same thing as teaching that dog to sit. If you can do that to any dog, you can do that you can make them point. I mean, as long as they're not brain dead and they get in that wind cone, and it's just teaching them. I mean, I bet if you gave me a dog that was obedient, or let's say a lab that was obedient and had a head, I could teach it to point at the end of the summer, or by the end of the summer, if you strictly wanted that out of your dog. Now, the natural ability, the style points, you won't see that. That dog's going to be timid going into point. It's not going to be stylish. You know, there's going to be a lot of negative factors going that alley. So that's why people are going to say the negative sides of it, which I agree with 100%. You can't say you got a pointing lab and just say, well, not say that you basically taught it to do that, because I don't walk around and say I have a sitting lab because the dog just naturally came out of its mom and would come and sit by me all the time. You know, I mean, kind of a stupid analogy, but it's an easy way to explain it, I guess.
Yeah. No, I was kind of curious about that. Like, is this, people that say I want a pointing lab, are most of these people going out and like finding lines, like bloodlines that have pointing dogs? Or like you said, can you just take any dog or any lab for that matter, and as long as it's obedient, teach it to point just the same? Or would you still recommend they find a line that has that in it?
Oh, you definitely got to find a line. That's why I don't like not knowing a dog that's coming out of a test or a hunt test dog, because I've seen a lot of poor dogs pass some of the pointing tests at the lower levels. Because I mean, I hate to say it, I don't know if they've ever shot a wild bird over that dog. And to me, that's not necessarily right. Or not, I shouldn't say right, but not the style I'm looking for. But maybe the owner wanted the CP title, the do a breeding, and boom, that's what it got, and good to go. And now they're going to go hunt it, and maybe it's better than any dog I got. But yes, there's about, I don't know, 20 years ago, let's say, a lot of was kind of like not the peak, but like the start of the pointing lab world. And obviously it's grown and there's been waves in it, but there's some big dogs on a lot of good pedigrees that I would say a lot of guys chase after for the pointing. And there's a lot of good pointing studs out there right now, and females. And one of the dogs I just put down, she was the highest level pointing female you could get. She was also trained for the steadiness side, to stay steady after that bird flushed, and you shot it and walked up to her and released her to go retrieve it. But she threw a lot of natural point into her puppies where you didn't have to teach that dog anything. And that dog, after a year or so of being on birds and getting bird under its belt, would start pointing naturally. And that's what you want to look for.
Yeah.
So
from my experience, I mean, I feel like I've seen Mac maybe point before Tyler. My dad had a dog, back in the day that would point on occasion. The typical experience I've had with a lab that points is it's more of like a flash point. Like they'll point for, a few seconds and then they'll flush the bird. Mm-hmm. Now, is that more of the typical what you're going to see out of a pointing lab? Or I know you just mentioned that some of these dogs are steady through the flush. Or is it really more of those like flash points that you would typically see?
Like the natural side is more of that flash point. And then I would say your breeders that are looking for the pointing side would say, okay, after you see that, now let's do some work on bringing that out a little bit. And that would be working on that steadiness. But But again, though, I mean, I could name off a dozen dogs that I would say are all natural point, and they're not just going to flash point. They're going to point down. As long as that bird's staying steady, a wild bird, they'll sit there and point, for over a minute, no problem on that bird if that bird's holding tight before they dive in easily. And that's all natural ability. Those dogs haven't been trained up for that. The training that comes into the pointing dog world or pointing lab world is for the high levels, keeping them steady after that bird's flushed, shooting it and retrieving it. That's where the high level training comes into for that, and the steadiness.
Yeah.
I got a video we did with a drone on a black female of mine. It's on YouTube. Pretty cool video. They're planted birds. I think we used chuckers that day. You'll see, if you watch that just on the upland side of it, you can see the steadiness where I shoot that bird, walk up to her, let her mark it or sit there and watch it, and then release her and bring her back in to hold and heel and retrieve. That's the higher level training side of it.
Now, what is the typical range? Like, do you let these pointing labs range out a little further than you would your typical flushing dog that you want quartering, 10 yards in front of you?
Yeah. Me, however far you can shoot and kill a bird, that's how far that dog should probably be back 3/4 of that distance. If you can kill a bird at 100 yards, that dog better not be more than 75 yards. If you only can shoot 20 yards, that dog better be at 10 yards. At least how I believe on that. Guiding, I keep my dogs close and try to, just so my bird rate is higher, because you don't want to go on a guided trip and not have a basket full of birds at the end of the day. I can't shoot for them. They miss some, yeah, but at least closer shots usually are more successful. Personal hunting, I do a lot of cattails. Dogs are a little closer. But I let them let them roll and let them do their thing. Personal hunting, I don't talk to my dogs in the field. Personal hunting, if they're 50 yards and they're on a bird, I better get my ass up there, or else that bird's getting away,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very much the same way in that regard. Yeah, I was curious because like with a pointing lab, you're not like, you see some of these videos of these guys out chucker hunting in the mountains, out west in Utah and Montana and stuff. You're not going to see a pointing lab, going a half a mile and locking up on point. That's just, you're still going to be more of that standard quartering and then getting that point at the end.
Yeah, 100%. I'll let them roll, especially if I know that they're going to point and they're going to slow down when they're on a bird. I'll let them roll. If they're a flushing dog of mine, no, I'm going to beat that one back. But if they're going to be steady, I know they're steady and I can see them up on a hillside, I'll let them roll out there. I mean, not 100 yards, but easily outside of gun range for me. I'll let them get out there. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of guys say, well, my dog's, whatever the distance is, if you can't kill that bird, that dog's too far, in my opinion, because that bird's always going to flush right in front of that dog. Maybe not on a good pointing dog, but a wild bird's going to usually flush in front of that dog some. So now you got to say, okay, my dog's here. I got to keep it back a little bit so I can be successful and get that bird in the bag.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Tyler, you're itching to ask some questions here. I can see it.
I know. Go you're on the pointing. I mean, I was going to jump in a bunch of times. Keep going. You're on the pointing lab train. Keep it going, Jeff. These are good though.
Well, my last one that I had, more or less for pointing labs specifically, I know you had mentioned that, you could take most dogs and train them to point in the summer. What are some of like the techniques that you think would be different from somebody training like a wire or a short hair, or a wire hair, or a Vizsla or something like that? What would be different if you're trying to train a lab to point versus one of these other typical pointing breeds?
Labs are easier. They're smarter.
Easy now.
That's good. Sorry, I just had to. Honestly, it'd probably be a lot of the same things. I've never trained one of those on upland side pointing. if you're successful at doing that, I bet you'd be successful at bringing the same style into a lab as long as that lab has a head on itself and is able to work with you. If that dog's not able to work with you and doesn't have a nose, then yeah, you can't do it. But again, kind of circling back to if you can teach that dog to sit and it's working with you, you'll be able to be successful at teaching it or bringing out the point in it.
Nice.
Same style, working the wool belt. I mean, I can get into as little detail as you want, but same thing. If a normal guy would look up teaching a dog a GSP how to point or be steady, the same tactics that have been used on labs.
Yeah. Nice. All right, Tyler, go ahead.
No, I mean we can keep going down the we can keep going down the pointing lab road if you have more questions, or Matt, if you have questions about the pointing lab side of things. And then I'll put a bow on that piece of the conversation with my question. If you want more.
Go ahead.
So, right. So say someone's listening to this podcast, Nate, and they're like, man, pointing labs, I'm really curious, right? And you just said, make sure you're looking for specific bloodlines, right? And you said there's like some good stud dogs, some good lines. Who are you looking at, right? If you're going to pick out a new puppy, if you decide you change your mind after night, you're like, yeah, actually, you know what? I actually think we need a puppy. My kids need a puppy, and I need 4 dogs. I just need that reassurance. I need another dog. Who are you looking at? What studs? What bloodlines? All that stuff.
I'm going back old. I'm not chasing the new dog. I like to go back to frozen semen, proven, where let's say your dad had a dog that he liked 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that dog has had multiple litters, multiple females, and a lot of them have worked out good. I like to chase those dogs. I don't like to necessarily go after the youngest dog that's competing in the hunt tests and has only had 3 or 4 breedings. I like to go back to frozen stuff, buy a straw from somebody or have them do the breeding side of it, or look back at it and look for those proven dogs. That's what I like. Names out there. I'm not going to necessarily throw a bunch of names out there for dogs just to not throw anybody or under the bus or anything like that. But there's a lot of dogs where you'll see on pedigrees. I mean, you might look at 5 different pedigrees in, let's just say, the Midwest. And if you look back on that pedigree, you'll start to notice dogs and maybe just make a Excel sheet and say, okay, I've seen this dog numerous times. I've seen this dog numerous times, and start chasing after those. Those are the ones I like to chase after. Okay. Yeah. If that makes sense. Is that
makes sense, right? And if someone's looking at a pedigree, they should look for GMPR, Grandmaster Pointing Retriever, right? That's the highest title.
Yeah, 4. So 4 time. So it'd be a 4X. GMPR would be technically the highest title pointing lab you can get, female or male. GMPR is the highest level. Now the 4 time is saying that they did it, and it's by 0.5. So they've done it GMPR, and then your 1.5 time, then your 2 time, and then your 2.5 time, all the way up to 4. Same tests, same scenario, just proven.
Again and again and again.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
There's a couple of those dogs in Wisconsin, stud dogs, that I'm very familiar with.
Yeah, for sure. There's a guy in Wisconsin, runs HRC, probably some AKC, and some APLA, and he's got a lot of GMPRs, APLA high level dogs. I'm pretty sure you're friends with him or know him pretty well. Great dogs. Yeah. Yep. I actually tried, if it's who I'm thinking of, I tried getting one of his females to go back to a frozen straw. It just didn't work out. It would have been sweet dog. I would have bought the whole litter just to get one dog out of it. Yeah, no, for sure. It's an expensive hobby. Go back, do your homework on it if you're looking for a puppy. If you want the pointing lab side in it, and just look for those higher titles. But remember, not always a title means it's a like top line dog. Not always. Look for a good. I mean, you want good, and the female has a lot to do with it too, not just the male side. So if you're looking at the pedigree, you know, you want to see both sides being good and looking back.
Okay, good, perfect. And if they have questions, they can obviously hit you up. Yeah,
send us a pedigree. I look at pedigrees all the time for people. Send us a pedigree. I might not recognize a single dog on it. I might have shot at hunt test for that dog and remember that dog specifically. 100%. Yeah, send us a pedigree. I'll take a look at it. No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Plus, I might get
yeah. It's true too, right? Okay, so I mentioned before you do run the page Upland Inc. What is Upland Inc? Like, what is the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish with that?
Just have fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing too crazy. Buddy and I mean, honestly, nothing too crazy. Back in the day, I don't know, what would you say when, I guess I don't even know when Instagram really got like what I'm gonna call big, and tried to we had a lot of good connections, try to bring some products in to the US with some other companies, just helping people out, having fun. Yeah, nothing too hot and heavy.
And it's upland focused, right? So like for our listeners who are dedicated upland guys, like it is upland focused. That's
yeah,
we
try to. I mean, I do some waterfall stuff on there, but yeah, I try to keep it mostly upland focused just because I enjoy that side. But and I wish I should do more gear. I just hate like pushing that towards people. But if people got a shout out and they want one of their things posted, I mean, I love trying to help somebody out on that. If whatever it is, just send us a message and we can try posting a photo or a story for you, helping you out somehow, stuff like that. Yeah, don't mind doing anything like that for people.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm just curious for you, right? I feel like you're at the same stage for us. Like how do you balance work, your dogs, family, all that stuff? It's a question that there's not really an answer to it, but I feel like I struggle with it the older that my children get. And so I'm trying to look for anything I can grasp onto.
Well, I try. Yeah, there's no answer. I try and hunt as many days as you can in a year because the season's short. For the Midwest average family guy, female, unless you're traveling the whole world and can hunt whenever, wherever. But for me, let's call it, I like to say you got a hunting dog. It's a family dog for 9 months. It's a hunting dog for 3. That's kind of like the numbers I like to throw out there. But realistically, September through January is what I'm hunting. Grouse opener all the way through pheasant close in South Dakota. How do you manage it? Well, you get out and take the kids grouse hunting early season, and then you trade the kids in for snowshoes and you hunt pheasants late season. So yeah, I mean, everyone has their own goals and stuff, but yeah, there's no right or wrong answer to it. Get out when you can, and obviously try and get the kids involved in it too, because the youth is going to carry it on. So they might not be able to. I mean, our son is 3, our daughter's 6, and our son this year he was carrying a BB gun around, wood duck hunting and grouse hunting. When I actually dropped a grouse right on the trail and let him shoot it with the BB gun 3 times, and then we retrieved it. You know, just getting them excited to get out, have fun, do that type of stuff. Yeah.
Now, are you guys filming any of your stuff, Nate, or are you primarily just taking photos?
Just photos. I do some like minor, but I'm not good at that stuff. I should get like some guys have those sweet barrel cams, stuff like that. I'd love to get into that more. Honestly, I get too impatient when I get out and hunt than setting that up. Probably my fault. Years ago, I used to do the GoPro on the head, that type of stuff, but just kind of fade away with that and get caught up in the moment, just hunting and then do a good photo after a hunt.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way with that. I probably should wear it more. And I have one. The battery always dies real quick, and I just want to get out the truck and start hunting. I don't want to have to worry about one more thing to put on my head and make sure it's recording and the battery is charged up, and I got enough stuff going on already.
Yeah, you got to make sure it's actually facing up too, Jeff. Right?
Yeah. Our last Oklahoma trip, Tyler handed me his extra GoPro, and sure enough, like one volley into it, the whole thing like tipped down, and I filmed the rest of the hunt looking at my feet.
Hour of footage, straight down.
Yeah. I mean, if it was 100% full-time job, I'm going to call it pretty nerdy on it, doing videos and stuff like that. But I just enjoy hunting too much by myself that I just don't do the filming side of it a bunch as I should.
And it's always, you get that perfect flush, a perfect shot. And you're like, damn, I wish I had that on video. That would have been perfect,
100%.
Yeah.
I had multiple this year where I was taking a phone call and dropped my phone at my feet, shot a bird, didn't move my feet because I had to make sure I grabbed my phone. And I was like, oh man, that thing would have been sweet if I just filmed it. Or I'll film some with my phone when I'm walking out with a limit and just
done that.
Flush them and try to get some good video, because you never can have enough video for those dogs that are getting retired. So I've done that. But yeah, I should. Maybe I'll make that a goal this year, but don't expect that too much from me.
That's fair.
Yeah. Plus, I don't want to give all away my spots along the river too.
There you go.
Gotta guard those spots. It's crucial. It's crucial.
Public land gets hit hard out by us. So yeah, you gotta think about that somewhat. Not saying trying to be greedy, but I got a couple spots I walk into on Thanksgiving Day by myself, and if I walked in there and there are trucks there, I'd have to blame it on my videos that I sent up.
I got a spot that I found this last year, and Tyler was wanting to take a camera guy out there the one time. I was like, you better not film the walk to that spot. Like, you turn the camera on when you get there, but you do not film anything prior to that.
We did go there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So it was all good, but yes.
Wink, wink.
I get it.
Yes.
I got one on that real quick if you got a minute. I was I was hunting out west, South Dakota by the Missouri River, and my old man went out there, took a couple dogs. I got onto a private chunk off of the river, probably 10 miles, and he heard from a buddy that I got onto this private chunk. He didn't know where it was, knew nothing about it. I wasn't out there now. He called me and he's like, hey, where's this private piece you got onto? Can I get onto it? I've never even hunted it yet. And I was like, no, you're not getting onto it before I hunt it myself. And then he goes back into the spiel about, hey, when you were a kid, I took you to all these spots. I take you fishing to all these spots. I give you, my whole life. You're not going to give me a field to chase some pheasants around in? And I just laughed and I said, no, sorry, man. Not until I hunt first myself. So then I saved it and we went out there and did pretty good. It was pretty fun. But kind of a funny story off of videos.
You got to keep them close to the hip when you find the good ones, man. They're few and far between, especially on public ground.
Yeah, especially with pressure these days. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We're over an hour, guys. So what, Jeff, Matt, what other questions, any other topics you want to ask Nate about? Or do we move it to whatever we're calling our final segment now?
Sky Blast. We gotta stick with the Sky Blast.
Yep.
If we do go longer, I'm going to plug my phone in just so it doesn't just click on you guys. But hit me with whatever.
Okay. All right. So How much battery you got left? Let's ask that question.
I don't know, man. I don't know how to do this off of there, but it's to the low red.
Okay,
go quick.
Right. We'll go quick. So Sky Blast questions, Nate. What we're gonna do, we're gonna just rip them off like one right after the other. We'll ask the questions. Your job is to answer them.
Yep.
That's it. First thing that comes to mind, you spit out the answer, and we'll wrap it with some fun because not all these questions are going to be hunting related or dog related.
It works.
So, all right, who's up first, gentlemen?
I can go.
Matt, you got any, man?
Yeah, sure. Yep. What's your field shotgun of choice?
My wife's. I steal her. I bought her a Benelli Ultralight Performance Shop, and she doesn't like it, so now it's mine. But jokingly, every time I leave the house, I say, "Hey, honey, can I take your gun?"
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite brand of shell that you use? I go waterfowl or upland hunting, honestly.
Upland hunting, I only shoot. I'm gonna say 99% of my shells that go through my gun are Federal 2 3/4 bought from Shields with the buffering in the shell. Federal makes a shell for Shields that you only find on Shields shelves that has a buffering in it. They just redid the box this year, so it looks a little different. 2 3/4 inch 5s from Shields, Federal brand.
Sure.
It'll say buffering on them. They're 1,500 feet per second. Yep.
Okay. And do you have a favorite like mount taxidermy that you have at your house? What's your favorite?
Ooh. Oh man. Yeah, I guess I did an old barnwood that we always did photos by, tore a bunch of the barnwood off of it, kept that, did some sharp tails hanging on it, and did a coyote kill. It was a white tail, but it looks like a moose. I mean, thick paddles on it, and did that below and did the grouse up above.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. That's what I had.
Dang.
All right, I just got one quick one since we're running low on battery here. This one's for you, Nate, but it's really for Matt. What are your thoughts about turkey hunting? Are you a fan or no?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. My follow-up. Are Matt and Tyler missing out?
They're not turkey
hunting. They don't turkey hunt.
Yeah, that's their fault. Let them not.
Yeah.
Turkey hunting's a blast. Springtime, get out, do it. It's like walking up to the test line. It's going to be addicting. It can be hard. You're like, oh, I see turkeys in Walmart parking lot. Yeah, okay. Go kill one in the spring. Have some fun doing it. It's a blast.
Perfect. That's all I needed.
Yep.
Shooting a single shot tonight, Tyler. You're up.
My goodness. Okay. All right, Nate. Coffee or energy drinks?
Energy drinks.
Nice.
Ooh, I did not expect that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
See, Matt, you could bring the energy drinks out to the turkey blind with you too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a energy drink guy. I'll grab one if I need, if I'm traveling, but I'm not a coffee guy. So energy drinks is what I'm going to shoot on for that.
Okay. What vest are you running while you're guiding? What vest are you stuffing all those birds in?
Yeah. While guiding, I wear
personally too.
Okay. I have a Chief Upland and I have a oh my gosh, you hit me with it. Wingsworks out west. I got an old Wingsworks vest. Depends on the day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then do you have like a specific pant that you wear as well? I mean, you're putting on a lot of miles. Are you a chaps guy, or what do you like? You just rocking jeans? I mean, what do you use for pants?
Used to strictly be Filson chaps. Went to Orvis pants now. They took them off their shelf. They were the gray ones. They're like a little darker gray on the front. Very light pant. Wear them late season all the way to the end of the year with long underwear underneath.
Okay.
They're way lighter than chaps. I like chaps. I used to wear those strictly with jeans. I faded away from them now, just due to weight and some of the Orvis stuff that I've got addicted to.
Okay. All right. Last one, right? You're guiding upland, right? Put a lot of miles on your feet. Do you have like a boot that you just love and that you just like, these are my boots. These are the ones that that I feel comfortable in hiking around the field.
I'm biased. I'm sure you've seen on our page, the Dito boots, 100%. They're not insulated, but I strictly wear those every day pheasant hunting. I don't need them insulated. If you're going to sit in the deer woods, probably not the boot for you, but strictly been using those upland hunting. Yeah. Yeah, you won't find them in Shields or anything, but you'll find a link on our page, or you can find them online too, but you won't find them in any big box stores right now.
Okay. That's a great segue. That was my last one. So if folks want to find you online and find that link, or just find you and get and consume more upland content, how do they do that? How do they get in touch with you? Do they have questions? What's supposed to do that, Nate?
Shoot us a message on Upland Inc's Facebook page or Instagram page. And I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Anything else? Yeah. Anything else you want to plug? Any other shout outs you want to give?
No, let's do it again. Not so long. It's fun with you three on it. Good questions, and conversation rolled easy. I mean, I'm fine with being structured too, or some of your followers want to hit some specific questions next time. Let's do it. And I'm open for whatever.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll line that up sometime in the future. Appreciate you jumping on, taking time out of your day. I know you've got some fun stuff going on outside of this right now in your life. So sincerely, Nate, thanks for hopping on. And for the listeners that have made it this far, make sure you go ahead and follow Upland.Inc on social media. Make sure that you leave a review if you haven't for us on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. And then if you got any feedback for us, let us know. Hit us up. If you have some specific questions for Nate for the next time he's on, let us know. Whatever it is, general comments, questions, whatever it is, just hit us up there. And other than that, have a great rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time of day it is for you. Peace.